thank you for waking up with me on Up with India. Today, I'll be joined by Shalet Monique, an up-and-coming rising star actress, humanitarian, and entrepreneur from Willingboro, New Jersey. Shalet is no stranger to the big screen or the blackboard. She is also a special education teacher, so she has a very unique story to tell. In May of 2020, she started hosting acting, singing, and playwriting classes online during the coronavirus pandemic for youth in New Jersey, and featured some familiar faces from Hollywood, combining her passion for acting and teaching. And now I get to welcome her on the show, the one and only Shalet Monique. How are you?
Hi, everyone. That was
Good
a nice intro.
Thank you so much. I do my best on these. I try to dig into your lives and, put it together. But thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
I must say that you have really out-titled most of my guests that have been on this show. You have out-titled them. I mean, humanitarian, educator, actress. You've taken a lot of different paths in your life that I think makes your story unique. So I think that this is going to be a great story to tell, Shalet. Thank you.
Thank you.
In this world, I led with that because in this world, I've realized how important it is for us to have various skills, right? And so many moons ago, people could just be an actress, could just be a football player, could just be a rapper or what so have you. But now people have to dibble and dabble into different streams. They have to add different skills to their belt in order to be valuable in these industries. And so, with you coming from New Jersey and coming from a state that has birthed so many talented people, you name it, Meryl Streep, Zoe Saldana, Frank Sinatra, John Travolta, Anne Hathaway, Queen Latifah, the list goes on, all of these greats. Did you ever feel the pressure growing up to want to be something great because of the people that came from your state?
One of my favorite people is Tasha Smith. She's from Camden, New Jersey, which is about 15, 20 minutes from Willingboro. To be honest, I never even thought of being an actress or comparing myself to others, to be honest. I've always been the oddball, the different one. And I kind of never really knew what I wanted to do. So in that sense, I was never comparing myself to others or trying to figure out, any pressures.
So how did you end up in acting? How did you even come across this if this was not something that you were passionate about?
So my sister, I love her so much. She's my baby sister. She has always been the extremely smart child. School was effortless for her. And my mom and dad used to be like, well, Paris could do it. And I used to be like, well, I can't. What do you want me to do?
Right.
I was always the one skipping out on homework and, struggling in school. And I just couldn't figure out why school wasn't interesting to me. I had no interest in it. When you asked me what was my favorite subject, I had no idea what my favorite subject was. When you asked me what did I want to be when I got older, every week I was changing. One week I wanted to be a news reporter. The next minute I wanted to be a doctor. The third minute I wanted to be an NFL player. I had no clue what I wanted to do growing up. So my mom was a nurse and my dad's a correction officer. I knew I didn't want to be a correction officer. So I said, let me try nursing. I ain't locking nobody up, watching them, none of that.
Right. I'm good on law enforcement.
Yeah, that best. So my mom was a nurse. I said, you know what? Let me go ahead and my mom loved her job and she loved teaching. She wound up teaching a nursing school at Temple University. So I seen her journey. So I said, you know what, let me look into nursing. So I went to Atlanta and I went to nursing school and that science and math kicked in and I was like,
this is too much.
This is too much. And then a funny story during my clinicals, they went to go put the epidural needle in someone's back and I passed out and had to retake the class. So I said, you know what? This ain't it. Jesus, come on. Show me what you want. Show me what you want.
So after going into nursing and you knew that law enforcement was out the door, what happened next?
So I went to nursing school. I did it for a little while. I was a lead phlebotomist at LabCorp. I loved it. I loved it. One of the things I loved most about it was The younger kids that came in, I'm a jokester and I'm fun, and I just, some of the people say your energy introduces you before you even say anything. So the kids used to love me. So every time they would come in to get their blood work done, they talk to me so much, and I'm teaching them what's going on, and they wouldn't even realize that a needle was in their arm. So next thing you know, all the parents were like reaching out to the people were coming from everywhere just to get me to draw their child's blood. So my supervisor, which is very unique, she said, Shalet, you need to be a teacher. And I'm like, I'm not, little do you know, lady, I don't even like school. Like I never did. So so but it's something sparked my interest. So I went ahead and I went back to my school in Willingboro and I said, hey, what things can you do to like introduce into teaching? So they told me a teacher assistant. So I went into the teaching assistant, and when I said I love the kids and I love to see them fight through their disabilities. Like you could see the the regular education students, and you could see like some of them like not have no interest, they didn't care, and then at the same time you'll see the kids with needs and they'll be fighting to get to where those students are, and that inspired me. So seeing those students struggling in classroom but pushing themselves to still be great, it made me want to go ahead and be a teacher. So I went ahead and I went to school online while I was teaching, being a teacher assistant, and I graduated with high honors, which was so like, Shalet graduated with high honors. So I was like, I found my lane. I was so excited. I went to my graduation for the first time. I graduated from a university 4 years. I was so excited. Went back, taught school, first year teaching. My position was cut, me along with 54 other teachers.
Wow.
Budget cuts. I was so distraught. I was like, what is going on? Like, I just got into it. It's something I like. So I went back to school, got my master's degree in educational leadership and development. And I said, you know what? I'm going to be a principal. Then they can't cut me. So family life happened, and I had an emergency with my sons, and I had to spend a lot of money dealing with my sons, and I couldn't go to my graduation for my master's degree. And my sister was like, Shalet, go to church with me. Pastor Jamal Bryant he's usually a pastor in Baltimore, but he was preaching in New Jersey, in Lindenwold. And she said, don't worry about your graduation, just come to church, And I'm like, I don't have no money to go to church. And, I feel crazy when I can't put in an offering. So I didn't want to go. So she's like, no, come. So I decided to go. And Jamal Bryant said, that degree or that job that you think you're going to have, you're never even going to work in that position because God got something better for you. He said, you're about to do something no one in your family has ever attempted to do again. And it spoke to my heart. And I'm like, why does it sound like it's speaking to me? And he kept saying it. He said, sow your seed, because when you sow this seed, your life is going to take off in a different direction. And I was in tears, literally. Because I have like, a lot of insecurities from growing up, and, some traumatic situations like everyone else, in life. And I'm like, I could never find my lane. I was so disappointed. Something was in me was like, I don't want to be a principal just because I failed what I thought was failed. And I had a debit card in my hand, and it had $100 on there. And something in my spirit said, Shalet, put that $100 in the church. This is the first time I put over $5 in church. I'm not even gonna be funny. First time ever. And on top of that, because they'll be like, usually be like, oh, you don't got no cash, you just ain't putting none in there. Right. But I took my little debit card number and a pen, and I wrote on that envelope for the first time. And I just put it in God's hand. I walked up to the altar, and I remember just crying, like, Lord, what am I gonna do next week? And I promise you, like, now it's the summertime. Teachers don't have jobs, and I go to I'm looking to see what some things to do for free, and I see a casting call, and I'm like, oh, I always wanted to be a news reporter when I was a kid. I went on set. I didn't get the job. I had no clue what I was doing as an actress. So they called me back and said, hey, you know what? I like your energy. I had somebody that I think you'll work great with. So I went ahead, and it was another news reporter scene, and I went on there and I did it. And ever since then, he's been referring me to other people. So another guy, it was called Nemi Hendrix. Me and Cardi B had the same birthday. Oh. So she's my alter ego. When I'm not Miss J in the class, I'm Cardi Shay.
What is that zodiac sign? What's the zodiac
sign?
Libras. Okay.
Very direct, very honest, very pointed, all those great things.
Right.
So I wind up, he said, hey, I got a role that, you got to have a little Cardi in you. And I'm like, yeah, me and Courtney got the same birthday. So he was like, all right, come on. So mind you, I never knew him, never met him, just, God. So I go ahead and I go to the audition, and I got I didn't audition, excuse me, I didn't audition. I got there. He's like, oh, you got to fight her. You got to fight this girl in the scene. And I'm like, I got to what? He's like, you got to fight this
Pause,
girl in the scene.
pause right there, because that is the part that's getting heated and hot. We're not ready for that yet. Wait, so you wait. Your journey into becoming an actress and getting this lead role started with you being a teacher. We can't just run past that. It started with you being a teacher, and because of lack of opportunity in that space and being denied in that space, it led you on what could be described as a part of a spiritual journey where you decided to take a leap of faith and walked in faith to your next part of life.
God is so faithful.
And you got a lead role, or went to audition for a lead role.
Didn't audition, just walked on set.
Walked on set.
Didn't know the guy.
Were you nervous? Talk to me about how you switched from the mindset of being a teacher and then now deciding, hey, I'm going to take this completely random, different direction in life that no one in my family has ever done. I have no idea how to do this, but I'm going to try.
Yeah, well, history says that, and I like to put this out there as just for clarification. We did an ancestry DNA, and Lena Horne had come up as a possible family member. Now, my great grandmother's name is Ada Lee Horne, and her grandfather's name is Charles Horne, which matches with Lena Horne. So the ancestry DNA did come back, and it had roots and things like that, and my family is aware of her. It just was never completely confirmed. And you got to be careful with those type of tests like that also. I do pride myself in being her great niece, because my grandmother came and lived with us when I was young, and I got a chance to talk to her and enjoy her, and she was so amazing. And yeah, so Lena
Horne. For the most part, nobody directly.
Yeah, and I didn't learn that until I got into the acting industry, where my family was like, "Well, your great aunt was Lena Horne." They had the same father. Her father never really claimed my grandmother, but they had the same father's name, full name. And where he was located, my grandmother's from. And then we did an ancestry DNA, and it came back with those roots in history. So. I didn't learn that until then. Yeah, I didn't learn that until then. So that was very interesting.
Wow. Everything happens for a reason then, right?
Yeah, so that really solidified what Jamal Bryant was saying to me in church, like that no one attempted again. And I'm like, what random, like I would find this information out, was just really interesting to me. God always has a funny way of showing us things. But how did I get there mentally? I don't know. I don't think that there's a truly shy button in my life. I don't find myself being shy too often. Most people who meet me, they feel like they know me forever, and I get that a lot. Like, oh, it feels like I know you forever. And then I'll be talking to friends, and I'm like, how long have we known each other? And they're like, a year. And I'm like, really? That's it? So like, I don't know what that is, to be honest. I just feel like you got to lead with love, and when people see the love and light in you, the world is so dark. So when you have that component, it stands out. So I guess I kind of am led by that. I don't know. I don't really have a shyness in my body. I just know that everything I do, I want to do it in love.
Yeah. And so you trusted yourself, and
it was hard. I was rolling around with flip flops off. I was in the middle of Newark streets. If anybody know who Newark is, you kind of know. I love me some Newark, but they got so crazy. The Popo came. Came. It was a real fight.
Run it back. So, what was the name of this film? Was this the Something in the Water film? And
Something
then
in the Water.
Recap. How did you hear about it? And then bring us right back to that moment where you then walk on and find out that you have to fight someone as your.
I don't even know. This is why I say it can't be nothing but God, because I can't. When people ask me how I got here, I can't even hardly explain my story, because there's so many pieces that I don't even understand why it happened. So one of the things that I can say is that for some reason, Nemi Hendrix and Li, which is her name is Lee Scott, came up on my timeline, and it was like a casting call, and I'm like, okay, let's try it. And it said Cardi B. So I inboxed him and I said, hey, me and Cardi got the same birthday. I don't really know much about this acting world, but I could play along, right? So
Right.
then he says, yeah, come on. So I went there and I met him, and I brought my sister along with me. And he was like, fight. This is a scene. This is what you're doing. You're gonna fight. And I'm like confused. You should have seen what it looked like, because I'm like trying not to hit her. She doesn't know me, so she's trying not to hit me. We're rolling in the streets. We're like, how does this work? But I'm a teacher, so one of my greatest assets is that I'm a listener. I'm
Mhm.
a listener, and I'm an avid learner. So I was determined to learn. So I listened to him, and he's such a great director. He's very patient and fun, and I just was listening to him. I learned so much from him that day, and it worked out. And so now, me, I'm thinking like, okay, you did it. Where does it go? I had no idea what the film world was. So it was like an international film festival, my first film festival. So I'm like, okay, so all these people are in the theater and they're watching it, and everybody's going crazy over the scene. And I'm like seeing myself for the first time, like on the screen, and I'm like, what? And everyone's cheering, and I'm like, wow, this
What was
feels
running through your mind?
great. Like, first thing that came to my mind was that message that God put in my heart in that church that day. And all I could do is like, thank you, God, because you didn't make me feel like anything I've done in life has been in vain. Um, you know, it just kind of made me feel different. It kind of made me understand that I was different. That understanding as a child that you're different, and it kind of hurts you as a child, but as an adult, and you have something that makes you see why you're different, it's just a beautiful feeling. And that's I what I was told, and what I've noticed is that that doesn't come easy to people. Doesn't come easy to people. So I'm like, that's what was going through my head. Like, wow, this is very interesting. It made my soul feel good. And what I learned, that it was a story that needed to be told. So they had some type of lead pipe issue in Newark, and Nemi, again, amazing, donated all this water to the city because they couldn't drink out of the sinks and faucets and things like that. And it just touched my heart, and I said, I want to start telling stories that will have a great impact on my students and in the world.
So for people that don't know or have not gotten the chance to see something in the water, talk to me about give me a synopsis of the story so that people can better understand why that film was created.
Well, that film was created because, from what we've learned throughout the filming and after the filming, that there's a serious lead problem going on in Newark, New Jersey, with their pipes, and it forces people not to be able to drink out of their sinks. And with water bottles being such in high demand, the prices of the water was going up so much, and people couldn't afford it. So, what happens in our communities when we can't afford something that we need? We, of course, start fussing and fighting with each other and turning into something that we have to fight for survival, in a sense, right? So, what happens to those cities when that happens? And this was a prime example. So, Something in the Water just showed that when something is a deficit, what happens in our communities. And it was powerful. And the fact that you saw him bring the waters to people and give out waters, it was just amazing. And it's a great story to share so that people can see the impact. You can't put a $30 case of water in a city that is poverty, or why would you do that? So
What would you say was the most challenging part about bringing the script to life?
one of the most powerful things about bringing the script to life to me was, what can I say, just the physical of it, that this is what this can ultimately lead to. This is what's really happening. I'm from Willingboro, New Jersey, so our economic status was a little different. I've always grew up in the suburbs. I've never lived in a city ever, so I never really got a chance to fully see what people go through. So that was a big shift for me, and it was very important for me to see. So as I continue my journey, that's exactly what I want to do. I want to keep reaching out to other areas. So that brings me back to teaching. So when I left that school, I went and taught in Trenton, New Jersey, which was another city that struggles, and it was the best experience for me ever.
So between teaching, being an entrepreneur, landing gigs, how do you center time around being a mother? I heard you talk a little bit earlier, about, did you say a son? I think I
I
heard
have two sons.
two sons. So what has been the most life-changing experience for your children and that they've had to go through while watching you take this new path to success?
So my sons are like, I've always showed my sons that anything you want in life is possible, literally. Um, I've always been that mom that if I say I'm going to do something, I do it. And then I show them. Like, I remember after my graduation, my son went in my room and took my cap and gown and wore it. And he said, Mom, well, when I grow up, I'm going to be an engineer. And he had his my cap and gown on. And he said, then I'm going to go to the NFL. And I
Mhm,
said, and because I have taught them that whatever you say, you're asking God ultimately for what you want. So
mhm,
he's going to show up in your life in some type of way. It might not be right now, it might not be 20 years from now, but it's going to show up.
mhm,
So this has been mentally for me, it has been overwhelming because I feel like I was always the mom that dresses like my kids and like runs outside with them and things like that. But now I'm finding myself running around, doing auditions, doing this, networking here at online classes. But I don't think I made no mistakes because my sons are 11 and 12 now. I know I don't look like it, but I'm up there. But 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 they're at an age where they want to just play Fortnite and video games and talk on the phone with their friends.
right.
So it's like they don't be worried about me. They don't be worried about me at all. And I'm like, y'all sure y'all don't want to do nothing? Because I feel like we need to do something after I'm doing all of this all week. And they're like, no, mom, it's okay. Do your thing. Get famous. Like that's how they treat me. Like, then that's what they say. So that has been a personal struggle of mine, but it doesn't affect them. You know, as parents, we always think of our children first. But one physical thing that I can say is that being in New Jersey was a lot of opportunity. It was great, but I was so comfortable in New Jersey. My sister literally lives one door down from me in our townhomes, and my dad lives the court across the street from us.
Mhm.
So I was comfortable. I was too comfortable. Everyone kind of know me. Everybody's like, Shalet, I'm like a local celebrity, in a
And that's what
sense.
I wanted to ask. When
Yeah.
did you know that you were becoming essentially too big for where your hometown was and it was time to go?
Yeah, so I have been featured in the newspaper a couple times, and like I love the support and things that my coworkers and my friends and my family and my community has all shown me. And like even when I wanted to take a acting class with Tasha Smith, I put it online like, hey, I want to do an acting class, and literally everyone started cash apping me and paid for my first 2.5 months of my acting class with Tasha Smith. So, yeah, a blessing, like literally. So, it was, sometimes in life, God will push you out of your comfort zone when things get uncomfortable, and He's telling you to do something, and you're not doing it. He will continue to make it uncomfortable, and I got so uncomfortable. Um, with family situations, with my kids getting to be boys and they need their dad closer because their dad lives in Atlanta. So, at this age going there in the summer and on breaks and stuff was not enough. So all of those things in life kept playing out, and I'm like, why are you forcing me to go to Atlanta, Lord? And um and I'm like, then I thought about it, I'm like, Atlanta's a big market right now for the acting industry. So they'll have their dad here. It forces me out of my comfort zone because I've learned you have to take risk and sacrifice for the things you want. So I'm like, you know what, Lord, all right, I'm listening. I promise you guys, it was 8:30 at night, and a school in Atlanta contacted me and said, "Hi, is this Miss Jefferson?" And I said, "Yes, this is Miss Jefferson." She said, "Would this is from Morrow Middle School in Georgia, and you had applied to the principal job here last year when I graduated." my school. She said, last year, and we're getting back to you to see if you were still interested in a job. And I'm like, 8:30? Like, this is in
Everything
May.
full circle.
It was in May. I'm like, what is going on? So I told her, I said, you know what? I have to be honest with you. I said, what made you call at 8:30? She said, something in my heart told me to contact you on her personal cell phone. And I said, okay. So she gave me the interview the next morning. And I put on my little teacher outfit and got on the interview and like did the interview. And they called me back within the first 10 minutes. And I said, hi. She said, we knew we were going to hire you the minute you got on that phone. And I was like, what did I do? She said, your energy introduced you before you said anything. I'm like, I always hear this. So, okay. So she hired me and she told me everything I had to do. And then I'm like, I don't know anyone really there but their dad. And I don't know, where to go and where the school even is. I never even got a chance to move out, like see where this place is or anything. So she said, oh, no problem. I moved here from, I believe she said Detroit. I don't want to get caught, but I believe she said Detroit. A couple years ago when I first moved there, I lived in these apartments. So I'm like, okay. She goes to the apartments, tells them that I'm coming from New Jersey. I contact them. They tell me I don't have to pay a security deposit, application fee, none of that. Literally the first month rent.
Whoa, 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 whoa. And you're thinking what at this moment? What is happening?
I'm like, okay, God, like you said you bless the folks, but you ain't say you bless them this quick. This is the second time you done gave me the rapid blessing. So I'm like, you really did all of that? And she said,
Wow.
yeah. She said, go ahead. And so I had my kid's father go over there and look at the apartment. So he was able to FaceTime me and things like that to see the apartment. I'm like, wow, this apartment is really nice. So much different than New Jersey. It has a pool and a fitness center and a car wash. And it's less than what I pay at home. Well, about the same, but much luxury. And I'm like, okay, Jesus. So let me figure out everything else because I had a whole house in Jersey. So I'm like, what do I do with my furniture? Because I don't want to take that and and have to spend all this money for moving. So I put my stuff up on Facebook. My stuff was gone the same day. My furniture, everything was gone the same day. Couches, like everything was gone the same day. And I'm like, now I'm looking around my house like,
there's nothing to attach you there anymore.
So now I'm like worried because my sister again lives a door down from me and we're very close and my dad is very close and my sons are really good kids, so they have a lot of good friends. I'm the teacher, neighborhood teacher, celebrity, everyone knows me kind of thing. So all the kids are always at my house, down to the point where my sons have a bike club in the neighborhood. And I felt so bad, so I'm like, this is hard taking them and uprooting them from their friends and family. And I had just explained to them, like, this is what's happening in our lives. And the great thing about it is you get to be close to your dad, really close. You don't have to wait for the summers and weekends and, breaks and stuff anymore. And this will be a great chance for you guys to, really be able to hang out. And they're like, yeah, okay. And I was like,
they were super excited. No convincing there.
Y'all just okay with it. And of course, as it got closer to the time, they got really sad and things like that. But I asked God, I said, God, when you do this for me, allow me to be able to go back and forth home so that we are able to still be connected and they still don't feel like they had to uproot themselves from their normal life. So to go back to me moving here, my friends were driving to Maryland for some bike week or something. And I'm like, hey, I'm moving. You got a truck. You want to, how much would you charge me to move? He said, oh, no, we're going there that same weekend. And I'm like, what? He said, yeah, we're going there. He said, what I'll do is I'll just hit your stuff on my car. We'll drive there and then we'll just turn around and go right there. And I'm like, are you serious? So they're like, well, just do half the gas. And I'm like, no, I can't do that. So I gave him, it was still under $1,000 but it was like, it cost me only maybe $900 to move here. And in my first month rent.
Wow.
Literally. Wow. You know how much it costs to move from state to state.
Yes. That is crazy.
It was crazy. So they moved me here, and then because they're my friends, they set up all my furniture, my TVs, everything was set up. And the crazier thing about it all was when it was like 3 days before my move date, and my friend George Lott, who is on Little, and he also has a big branding company, and he's just phenomenal. He's on so many different things, Black Lightning. He's on so many amazing shows. He's
Yeah,
amazing.
yeah,
If any actors out there want to brand themselves and learn how to brand themselves, George Lott is phenomenal. Um, but he called me and said, "Hey," well, inboxed me and said, "Hey, Shalet, uh, there's an audition for a award-winning novelist, and she's getting her book into a film. Contact her and see when auditions are." I contact her and she said, "Oh, we had one for Tuesday, which was that day." And I said, "No, I can't do that because I'm not here." And she said, "The next one will be Thursday." That Thursday is the day that I got into Atlanta. I flew into Atlanta.
were you able to make it?
I flew into Atlanta at 11 o'clock a.m. and the audition was at 6 o'clock p.m. So I had time to get myself together and went right to Atlanta. And then her dad was here meeting them at the front door. So it just wound up being like, wow.
What are the most unique aspects of your life right now? Since making this leap, since taking this, there's been so many leaps of faith in your life. I feel like that's happened. But since getting to Atlanta, what has been the most unique aspect of your life right now?
The most unique aspect of my life right now is because when I came into the industry a year ago, it was in person auditions, and now we have self tape auditions. And because I really haven't had much training in a sense, I've been doing classes within this year. Um, those seem pretty hard to me because it's so new, and self tapes are hard for some other actors who have been acting for a while. So to come into it and don't know anything much, that was very difficult. But I had met an acting coach online from Atlanta because I started, I'm a teacher, so I kind of like do my research and educate. That's so important to me. So I did my research and I found two great coaches, Chantal Maurice and Carl Kennedy, and I started taking classes with them too. And Chantal moves here to Atlanta from New York. She's phenomenal. And then Carl Kennedy has been here for a while now. And they have, Carl Kennedy lives 6 minutes away from me, and Chantal Maurice lives 25 minutes from me.
Wow.
So it was like when I went to go do self tapes, I would have them as a resource right then. So that has been unique to me. Like, who would have thought you live 6 minutes away from me? And who would have thought you live 25 minutes away from me? And Carl Kennedy is phenomenal. He's on like the Have and the Have Nots and MacGyver and all types of things. And
And so you get to learn directly from the greats themselves. And so now this has sharpened your skills in a way that during the pandemic, you decided that you wanted to start teaching other young, aspiring actors and actresses and future thespians. So talk to me about why and how that kind of all came together for you to start introducing those classes in the midst of everything that's going on in life.
yeah, so I have a passion for children. I really do, and it's centered from my child life, and I really believe in kids, and I think that they are so unique and special. And when I got into this acting world after I've done the Something in the Water film and it sparked this like drive in me that was like, wow, this is, a great feeling. I said, what do these artists do? Like, how does it feel when you're stuck in a job that you don't want to work at, right? Because that's how I started feeling. Stuck in a job that you don't want to work, but you know you have to work there to maintain your bills. How can you start working on your talent now and be able to jump into it as you get older? Because I think that a lot of mental health issues come from people not being able to really pursue what their passionate goal is.
Sure.
So what I did was I started thinking about that and I said, you know what? This is what we're going to do. I'm going to, again, God planted this in my head again. I'm going to show you how to become entrepreneurs so that they can start their careers now, get themselves out there now, and build their brand so as they get older, they don't have to work for nobody unless they really have to or want to.
Mhm. I saw a post on Facebook that said something along the lines of "Stop telling kids They can be anything they want to be without giving them the resources to do that. Do you think that children are often sold a dream without someone gifting them, equipping them with the tools to succeed?
That's exactly what I feel. And I feel like a lot of times students don't like school because they can't see how this is going to relate to them in their future, because they're often told that they have to be in a career that's going to make them money, like being a teacher, a doctor, a lawyer. They're never told that they can be successful in the fields of the arts.
Mhm.
And a lot of kids, they're like, well, this is what I want to do. I want to be a video gamer. And the parents are saying, you can't be a video gamer. How's that going to make you money? But they don't stretch themselves to think that how can they make money? What can
Oh,
they do? My
yeah.
sons love video games, so that's how it started. I started with them. My sons love video games and they love eating. So what I said was, let me figure this out. Everyone does YouTube, right? So
Right,
why don't you guys have a lunch hour, since you're virtually online, and do a lunch hour for the kids, and all the kids, and you guys cook something in um, kid friendly cooking utensils and cooking machines. And then you guys stream your game, and then everyone can stream. So now you're teaching them how to cook things with like George Foreman grills. I found all these little different things that they can't get hurt while cooking.
right.
A quesadilla maker, and then they started making their food with the Fortnite songs in the background.
Absolutely.
And then they started streaming their game. And I'm like, oh, well, now you guys can make money from this, because guess what? If you get enough people in there, you can stream and make money. And then, too, those ideas that you cook, because they were like Fortnite burgers, like they were
Oh,
attaching
that
the
is
name of
so cute.
Fortnite things. It's called Lunch Hour with Jigs and Jay,
Oh my God, I gotta check it out. And
right? So,
everybody, I want you guys to go look at it too. That is so cute.
yeah, so they take the burgers. I think it was called combo burgers.
Uh-huh.
And what they would do is they would make the burgers like Fortnite style. They would put bacon and add their own little mix onto it. And then after they made their own mix onto their burgers, they would put in a cookbook. So now they have a cookbook where they're taking their ideas, putting in the cookbook, and then giving everyone a Fortnite cheat code underneath the meal.
Wow, that is so, so creative. And so now they're able to what? Are they now young entrepreneurs themselves? Have they been able to tap into the market yet?
Let me tell you something about these kids now. Now, I done gave them the idea. They just started doing it like every other kid. They stopped. But that's how you know when a kid wants something or not.
Right, that's true.
So
That's
they
true.
love the idea, they loved it, but they're not consistent. So my lesson to them is, right? I'm going to continue to be consistent, and then I show them things that happen to me. For example, I got on Black Lightning, I got a veil check for Black Lightning. And I said, you see when I'm always running up and running out the house and doing this and doing that? Now look at the fruits of my labor. So I'm not forcing them, because you shouldn't force kids to do anything, right? But I'm starting to see them doing more. So now they went on TikTok and they see some TikTok things, and now they're back in the kitchen and they're back onto streaming their stuff. So I think that just leading by example and showing them is great. So
Have you had the opportunity, or will you ever have the conversation about the difference between passion and purpose? And do you see those two things as similar or different?
I definitely think that purpose is fueled by passion, and passion is fueled by purpose. And I found my purpose recently, which I was like, I literally went to my knees and cried, because I never understood what it felt to find your purpose. And when you find your purpose, you do things without effort. You do things and without even thinking twice about it, and things just start popping in your head, and you're like, where did this come from? And then you're excited and overjoyed to work with it and to do something with those ideas. Um, So that's how I feel about passion and purpose. It's a great feeling to find your purpose. So to go back to the school, when I got my first check from acting, um, I opened a school called Doe Academy, and it teaches youth how to become entrepreneurs. And it basically is like a seed grows, and your visions can grow too. So if you have a small idea, don't think of it small. Know that it's going to grow into a tree. So I had all my students like really think of something. It can be the simplest thing or the things that you think no one will believe in, and I want you to write it down. And then I taught them how to believe in what they believed, believe in what they saw. And then I want you to design it and create something that you can possibly make money from. So I had a kid who doesn't like having her mask on at all, and it gives her anxiety. And then she sees that it gives other people anxiety. So, in long story short, she created a mask that helps people with their anxiety. And I'm excited to show you guys what she has created. I have another boy who he has loves sports, but you can't go out and play sports right now. So he started an online sports store where people can rent different sports and practice playing it. If they don't like it, they send it back. If they do, it gives them a chance to keep playing different, trying out different sports. So you don't have to pay for them because people don't have money right now. So now
Right.
you're just renting, trying it out, seeing if you like that, and
It's
sending
like
it back.
School for sports.
I have another girl who makes her own lip gloss and edge control. Um,
Ah,
So yeah, and I told them now I want you guys to brand yourself. So I'm trying to get them away from just having all types of craziness on social media. So I said now you have to set up a social media page, with their parents' permission, of course. And I want you guys to promote your business and yourself. So maybe you like TikToking, so do a TikTok, but then always show your product, right?
right.
And would anyone like to buy your things if you're talking negative and having a lot of curse words and things? Because we find that a lot in our use, inappropriate things sometimes because they're trying to keep up with trends or whatever they're trying to do. So I'm saying, would someone want to buy something from you when you have all this negativity on your page, or when your page is filled with things that aren't relative to who you are and and what you're trying to promote? So
And so when you decided to create this program, this program that has now taught so many young people to see their light, and to get out here and be the best versions of themselves, it came out of a space that was, I guess, could say a dark space, like the pandemic. It was a dark space for a lot of people at that time, people not knowing what to do next. But how do you plan on growing this thing, even though, again, it was an idea that kind of came up because of this? But do you plan on, making this bigger than life and keeping it going?
yeah, so this summer I had a free virtual summer camp, and all of my entertainment, not all of them, but a lot of my entertainment friends came, like Steven St. Pierre. I'm so grateful for him. He has a award winning film called Corey, which was his first short film, and it went international and went all over the world. And he's also an actor. You can find him on HBO's High Maintenance. He came and he taught a CAPYAL class, creating and performing your own work, which he created on his own. So students were able to write their own scenes and monologues and script and then perform it.
Mm,
Then I had Ned Victon. She is a career counselor and an actress known for her Juju web series and Dyson commercials. And she was the career counselor. She made sure they knew that they could be anything that they wanted to be. And then we had myself, who taught them how to be entrepreneurs and how to use their gifts to create income for themselves.
mhm. So,
So it was, yeah. And then Christopher Emmanuel, he's a black male superhero on a predominantly black show, Black Lightning. So he came in and he talked to the kids and he showed them how you can do more than just be an actor. He's an entrepreneur. He's a singer. He plays his guitar when they're not shooting, and how important those things are to just always keep your mind going and is a vessel. So he's been a great support. And then we had Carl Kennedy and Sarai. Sarai is a serial entrepreneur. Jiran is a published author. They all came in and just gave the kids their story and showed them things that they've done in their career. And it just uplifted them and inspired them. And it was free, 6 weeks free.
And so, how did you start to spot out talent? Do you feel like you have the eye to see when there's a young person who this could really land them on the big screen? And not to say that, any child cannot work hard enough to get there, but just off talent alone, how do you spot that out?
I think that that's one of the gifts God gave me, and it allowed me to be the teacher that I am. Like, I can walk into a classroom right now that I've taught, and the students will act like I am Tyler Perry walking in the classroom. Like, I literally have videos of the students, high school, middle school, don't even matter. I taught them all grabbing onto my leg, and I'd be like, "What did I do to you guys? Seriously!" But I think that being different my whole life, should I say. Uh, Different my whole life. People kind of like didn't know how to figure me out. So it's either you love me or you hate me kind of thing.
Mhm.
And I see a lot of insecurities in kids, and then I see a lot of times where they have something so special inside of them, they just don't know where to use it and where to go with it. And that's where the special education teacher comes into play. How can I pull out the best in you? Because I know deep down you want the best in you because it's hurting you, it's stopping you from being who you have potential to be. So to see those kids have that power in them, I like to kind of like explode it out of them. So I see it. I see it. It's such a beautiful thing to see it in people. And like everyone always tells me, like, Shalay, you make me really feel like I can do it. And I'm like, because I really see it.
Right.
And I
Right.
seen so many kids who I saw were going to do something, and I seen it transition into their adulthood.
Mm. You know what's interesting about the fact that you can see all of this now for young people is that there was a point when you didn't necessarily see it for yourself. You talked a little bit about those insecurities. Tell me about where that came from.
Um, I guess everyone has insecurities. One of my biggest insecurities, which I started noticing it in film now, is that I've always been a dark skinned girl. Um, to be honest, I was darker as a child. I don't know where I lightened up a little bit, but I was always a darker skinned girl. And I don't know if it was just how I viewed myself because of how people viewed me or what, but I've always felt like I was darker, you know? I don't know if that makes sense to you. Like when I look at myself
Oh
now,
no,
I
certainly.
don't feel like I'm as dark as I used to be, but I don't know if that was a mental thing as well.
You may feel lighter because this I think that insecurity does weigh on you to the point where it makes you look unattractive to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And so now that you've been able to kind of grow into your own person and learn to love you, that's probably why you're starting to see the light. It's not that your skin has changed, maybe it has,
Yeah,
physically.
because sometimes it does, but
Yeah.
yeah,
But I
yeah,
think
it does.
of
I
the
don't know what it is, but who
yeah.
knows?
It might just be the light from the inside, just, busting its way out.
You better bring it out.
Right. But back to your point, working through some of those insecurities and where they came from.
Well, growing up, I was told a lot that I was pretty for a dark skinned girl,
Mm,
and or like I would have some friends in my elementary school in my elementary school years where they were light skinned with the curly hair, different exotic features. And we would be out and the boys would say, "Oh, you're ugly, you're too dark," and then they'll praise the light skinned girl with the curly hair. Or your parents put a perm in your hair and then you're trying to get a perm so that you can have the hair that everyone else has. So I think that had a great effect on me and how I perceived life. And hearing all the time, "You're pretty for a dark skin girl," like, what does that mean? Like, I didn't understand it. So in the film industry, I used to get disappointed a lot when I would get emails that say, "Hey, great audition," or "Thank you for auditioning." Unfortunately, the director went with a mixed or ambiguous or white talent. And it used to crush me like, what this is. And I think that it was because of that insecurity as a child. Like I wasn't good enough, I wasn't pretty enough. And then you'll see that person on the TV show or something, you audition and they're exactly what you envision them to be, the
mhm,
light-skinned girl with the pretty hair, the long hair. That was a hurdle that I had to get over in recent months, because it happened to me a few times, not once, not twice, maybe about 3 times. And then I was talking to my acting coach, and he said, "You know what? I have never honestly seen these emails. I have never seen them reach out to you and say that they decided to go with a different person." So he's like, "That is good." It's almost like they couldn't tell you no, but they had to. And I had to think of it like that. Like, wow, okay, that's important. Like, that's special. That's unique. And, they had enough respect for me to tell me that. So I'm just trying to hold on to positive things because, in this industry can be very mental on you,
very
very
true.
hard.
For sure. I mean, Viola Davis even kind of talks about that, in terms of white counterparts, right? And so she talks about, being able to have this household name and all of these talents and being compared to people like Meryl Streep, but still not being able to get paid or sometimes get the opportunities as your counterparts. How do you stop those real concerns from deterring you from going forward? Just for anyone who's watching who may feel like that their skin tone is going to be the hindrance to their life.
To be honest, I can't give a full lot of advice because it's something I still struggle with that I'm learning to get over that hurdle slowly but surely. But I do a lot of praying about it. I do a lot of self confirmation, like Shalet, you are enough. I do a lot of research. That's one thing I do. I research other people who have been doing very well in the industry and black filmmakers. And Array Now is a great platform. There's so many great platforms where you have leading black women, and just watch them and see them and be inspired by them, and just know that you are enough. So that's one thing I've been doing. And Twinkie Bird, Tracy Twinkie Bird, I love her so much. She has been the one who opened my eyes to seeing that. Um, like she always says, read a lot,
Mm,
read stories, because stories always, books always become film, not always, but have potential to become film. So
mm,
find great black
mm,
authors.
mm.
Um, Consistently take classes, like go to some of your favorite African American actors and actresses and take some, look at their resumes and see what classes they took. Also, do your research, look at some other people who have been doing. Lupisha, look at these people and see their stories and see their routes, and and Viola Davis, look at them and pay attention to them, because you're going to open a space for yourself when you're completely confident in who you are.
Sure, sure. And one of those you actually kind of took that advice. I don't know if it was before you got the advice or after, but when you took that class with Tasha Smith, talk to me about what you learned from this black dark-skinned woman in the entertainment industry and the lasting impression that it had on you.
Yeah, so I coach with Coach Larry Scott, and then Tasha Smith jumps in our classes and things like that. So just to have, those, he's phenomenal too. Like, their journeys and stories are amazing. And I think that what I love most about those classes is the uniqueness of, we learn about ourselves. We learn about all of our flaws. We learn about all of our things that make us unique that we can bring to the camera, and with no shame. No shame. We learn that you are who you are. So those little insecurities or things that you don't like about yourself and the things that you do like about yourself, use them. This is the time for you to be able to be who you are in front of people with no judgment. So use it. Um, Use all those people in life, because everyone in life at some point wants to be validated by somebody, right? Use those people. Use the people that you want to be validated by in your stories. And then eventually you're allowing yourself to heal, because sometimes we don't speak on those things. We don't want to admit to ourselves. So basically, we're lying to the camera. We're lying to ourselves, and the camera can tell when you're lying.
Right, you gotta show up. You gotta show up in your authentic version. Yeah.
Be authentic. And I think that's another thing I can honestly say. God is so good. I had so many insecurities. I have so many horrible stories. Everybody has horrible stories, which they feel, is more horrible than others, and other people might be going through things, but that's not me. This is my horrible story. This is how I'm perceiving how things have happened in my life, and they're horrible to me. And it allows you to heal from those things and know that those are those people's problems, and it just imposed into your world, and what you're going to do with it is what you're going to do with it. Are you going to build from it, or are you going to allow it to control you? And I've learned that I'm not going to allow it to control me, but I'm going to allow it to build me up. And that's through film, and that's through expressing myself and letting myself be vulnerable. And it's like one of the best things that has happened to me. I can see a big transformation in my life and who I am and how I'm perceiving myself, and being completely confident in Chalet.
Mhm. I'm so glad you shared that because you're so right. I think that it'd probably be really hard to jump into another character if you're not comfortable with the character that you already have. You know,
Mhm.
what is your character? What do you speak to when you walk into a room? And so that's important. I mean, Denzel Washington talks about when he's preparing for a role that he just goes all in. He embodies every single aspect of that character so that he could be the best version of himself through the character on
Yes.
screen. But if you're not comfortable with just you, can you jump into the body of an idea of a person?
Because that's how I felt with Something in the Water. Like I never experienced the lack of. I didn't eat oodles and noodles until I was like 10th, 11th grade. Like,
Oh wow, you
you
had a
know,
nice life.
right? My parents like sheltered us in a sense of we couldn't shop at the Goodwill. My dad, I think, remember him telling me like, and no, this is no offense to anybody, because if I can get some food stamps today, sign me up, okay? But my dad would be like, growing up, I would hear my dad say, "Never would I ever have had y'all on free lunch." Like, and I'm like, "What's wrong with free lunch?" Like,
Free lunch got me through. Free lunch
but
got me through.
but see how mentally things from your parent, and it probably was something what I've learned that he had to be raised on that, and people used to make fun of him and tease him. So now his goal was to never make sure that his kids had never had to go through that,
Right.
right? So you have, this is what this journey has taught me, that people do the things that they do because of things that have impacted their lives or made them feel some type of way in life, right? That's so important. So I don't take anything personally. I don't take anything personally anymore. So so what I was going back to saying is that you find yourself seeing so many different facets of life and why things happen the way that they happen and why things are going the way that they're going just through your journey, and why this was necessary for me. This was necessary for me. And it goes beyond me becoming what I want to become, a star, best actress, Oscar, Grammy winner. This goes into tapping into me personally. It goes into how am I going to battle what's going on with the world, with the coronavirus, with us feel like we're in the middle of a civil war pandemic, with mental hurdles that I'm trying to go over. I needed this. I needed this. And I don't think that anything happens by mistake.
Not at all. Not at all. Where do you see yourself in the next 5 years, Shalay? If you could manifest that in this moment and we kind of replay this in 5 years.
Yeah, I kind of want to share my thing, but I don't want to copy it. But I'm gonna ask God for it. Give me a second. But in the next 5 years, I know that I will win some type of humanitarian award.
Mm,
I know that I will be an inspiring public figure, because this isn't about me. This is about our culture, our climate, and what God has assigned me to do. This goes beyond acting for me. And one of the things that I can say is that we need to make sure that our schools and our communities and our Black communities have the same opportunity as the kids that are not our complexion, are not our skin tone, are not in our poverty, in our economic statuses. We need to be able to have the same opportunities. And it's very hard to see Trenton, New Jersey schools with the bare minimum, and then you look across the street and you see them with everything. And what makes the difference? If I step across the street, I can get a better opportunity. The mom who went to jail because she lied and said that her kid lived in a different zip code. Why is that okay? Why is that okay? So I want to, in 5 years, I want to see myself using my platform to make the schools in our communities better and give our kids a fighting chance. And if I have to sow all my money into schools, I will. And if I have to step into each one of those schools and say, here's my story of how education went for me and how I used that knowledge and how I needed it to be even here where I'm at now, I will do that. I will make it my business to go to each and every one of them schools. And I definitely have some plans of putting things into our schools and our community um, that is very unique and that is very beneficial. And I've been trying it in my classroom already, and it came out of nowhere. Like I said, when I started this acting journey, the things that I was able to bring into my classroom has been life changing. I'll give you one example. Kids love TV shows, right? Kids love watching TV. So I have kids who don't care about this virtual learning at all. And I had to figure out, what can I do to make you like virtual learning? What
Yes,
can I do? And I
right.
get it. I'll tell them, like, I get it. I be wanting to quit every other day. I get it. I get it. So I said, what can I do to
Uh,
correlate why they need to be in this class right now? So we did argumentative essay writing. So I pulled a script from Black Lightning. That was an argument. And it was one of the first scripts that I ever did with my coach, Carl Kennedy, when I first signed up for his class, right? The first script. And I was so impressed because I'm like, wow, my other acting classes, I didn't get a chance to see real scripts from a TV show. So it was phenomenal to me. So I took that script and it was an argument, right? Of course, age appropriate. And it had a claim and it had reasons. So I'm like, wow, let me use this script. So I pulled the script up on my screen and I had signed each student a character and they read it. And I said, that was boring. What can you do to make the story not boring? Now they're reading with expression. I had to explain to them, why did you read with expression? Now read the story back to me. Can you feel the story? Oh, I can feel the story. Now take that feeling, close your eyes, put it in your head, envision that story.
right.
And you can just see their bodies lighting up like, oh,
It
like
changes everything.
this is what's happening. And then I played the scene on the TV and I asked them, was that vision what you saw? And they were like, yes. I said, now read me back the argument. Why were they fighting for that so much? And how did it make you feel? And guess what? They all wrote essays
Wow.
flawlessly.
Wow. Wow. So that's
So,
one of the
yeah.
ways that you show how your two worlds collide. That is
Mhm.
amazing. That is amazing. To the students that you teach, to the students around the country that come from places like Trenton, New Jersey, what is the message that you send to them about chasing their dreams and the reality of what is possible when you don't give up?
So that was one of my greatest experiences. Is like when I needed to call off, I'll tell my students like, "Hey, I got to call off because I have an audition," right? And then I will break it down like, "Why is this audition important for me?" And is it something that I'm willing to risk my job for? Because I'll say, "Hey, I might get in trouble at work because I'm gonna take off." But what do you guys think? Is something worth it? And where's your faith at? Where we'll show you that everything will be okay.
Mhm.
So we would discuss that. And I taught them about taking leap of faith as long as they are practical. And then I would show them the days that I have off. I would say, hey, these are the days that I have off. So if I had an audition for Black Lightning, whereas I have, audition for a play that's not paid, what would my best thing be to do?
Right,
Take this or take that, outweigh your options,
right.
you know but it's okay to take risks. So then I'll come back and they'll say, hey, Miss J, how was your audition? And I'll be so happy. And I said, do I feel afraid right now or anything? No, because I made a decision for me and I made it with a clear vision, a clear mind, and I outweighed my options. So when you guys do things in life, I want you to outweigh your option. Is it practical for me to do this? Is it okay to fight for my dream? Yes, but do I have to be mindful of how it can turn out? Yes, but should I take that leap of faith? Absolutely. And I'm hoping that manifests. I have so many students who I've put in background work in films. I have so many students who are writing their own films now. I have so many students whose behavior changed because they're now interested in math because they know that they want to play basketball, and math is important in basketball because it's all about numbers. So even if I don't play basketball, can I handle and manage the stats of basketball?
Right, yeah. I did that in college.
Can I be a sports manager?
Yeah,
So you
yeah.
need to know this so you can fall back on something still within the industry so you're still doing something you love.
Mm. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much for being here. Before we get out of here, Chalet, I just want to know, what are some projects that we can look forward to possibly seeing you in? Anything you're ready for? Bring us into your world. What's happening next?
Come on in, come on in, come on in. So I'm excited. God is so good and so faithful. So I will be in an upcoming film called Jenny, written by Black De Niro, and featuring Goods the Animal, who's a battle rapper. And this film is going to be so different. I'm so excited for you guys to see it. I have some films in film circuits right now. Hands Up, Miss Angela White, phenomenal. So we'll see where that goes. And then I did an amazing audition. Who I was requested by Raven Drummer, who is Tyler Perry's casting director.
Oh, yeah.
And he reached out and said, "Can we have your client?" And I was like, "Oh, so what about me?"
Little me.
Little me. So, and it's for a lead role in his upcoming film. So, you know, we're gonna keep our faith in minds, and if not, we're not. But you know, it was a great opportunity. And then I also auditioned for Oprah Winfrey show, Delilah. So that's also up in the air for now. But these were my most recent auditions.
That is exciting. First of all, congratulations on just getting the audition period, and then hopefully, fingers crossed, you land every opportunity. Hopefully they don't collide with each other, but hopefully you land them.
No, God gonna work it out. He gonna be like, okay, so I did this for you. But if not, this is what I always say: you praise. What my coach always says: you praise God, not the opportunity. So I think I praise God for the opportunity, and I thank the opportunity for showing up in my favor.
Amazing. It's been great having you here. Thank you so much for coming on the show, Shalet, and sharing your rich, diverse, dynamic story. I know that the viewers got so much just from listening, so I really appreciate you being here.
And I thank you for having me. You're beautiful. Your spirit is beautiful. You're amazing at what you do. I had so much fun on here, and my prayer for everyone is that, you know, we all win. We all win because we're all a piece of the puzzle, and each and every one of us is necessary.
Most definitely. Thank you, Shalet. We appreciate you being here. And thank you to all of you for watching. For more news, updates, and information, make sure to head back here tomorrow morning on Up with India.